מאז יום שבת מדינת ישראל נמצאת במלחמה. אנחנו נלחמים על הבית, אנחנו נלחמים על העתיד שלנו. והפגישה שסיימנו עכשיו, ידידי מזכיר ההגנה אוסטין ואני, בבור הפיקוד, סיכמנו על שורה של מהלכים וסוגיות אסטרטגיות. אני בטוח כי גם ידידינו ברחבי העולם וגם אויבינו בכל הגזרות מבינים היטב את משמעות הברית הזו ואת משמעות הביקור הזה. מדינת ישראל היא מדינה חזקה, מדינה שבה מתקיים שילוב בין צבא עוצמתי לבין מערכת אזרחית עם חוסן לאומי בלתי רגיל.
Hello everybody,
החוסן
86, welcome.
שמצוי ב-DNA של כל יהודי הוא תוצר של מאבק הישרדות של אלפי שנים עם תוצאה אחת.
So he did just speak English, but
האויבים שלנו רוצים להשמיד אותנו פעם אחר פעם, ובסופו של דבר אנחנו שורדים, מנצחים והם נעלמים.
he did just speak English. We're gonna have to watch that. We're gonna rewatch it. We'll
זה הגורל שמחכה לחמאס הדאעש של עזה. המלחמה תהיה ארוכה.
Pictures coming out from Israel here, or sorry, from Gaza. Israel military dropped thousands of flyers on Gaza, warning residents to flee immediately to south. These are flyers, by the way, not phosphor. Papers, phosphor falling down.
ספגנו מכה קשה מאוד. אנחנו נתחקר ונפיק לקחים. נהיה חזקים יותר. אבל עכשיו עת מלחמה, ובעת מלחמה המטרה היחידה והראשית היא לנצח. בימים האחרונים התהפכה המגמה, ומי שתקף אותנו הפך להיות מותקף על ידינו. מקרבות ההירואיים בשטחנו, בהם היכו לוחמי צה"ל בסדיר ובמילואים את מי שתכנן להגיע הרבה יותר רחוק מרצועת עזה, עברנו למתקפה על שטחי רצועת עזה. התוצאות יעבירו לעולם מהי נחישותנו, מהי עוצמתנו וכיצד אנחנו מתמודדים עם מי שמנסה להרוג את ילדינו, את זקנינו ואת נשינו, ולצערי במקרה הזה גם הצליח.
He did speak English. Just a second ago. Back and watch it because I wasn't really streaming that when you into it. But yeah, for now he's just going to speak Israeli. We've got picture. Okay, so look at that Lebanon-Israel border. This is the border between Lebanon and Israel. Now keep in mind they're not trying to get across. They're trying to take it down. Well, they are possibly also trying to get across, but mostly what they're trying to do is take it down.
We've been in close touch, but it's good to see you again in person. And it's good to be back in Israel, even during such terrible days. As the U.S. Secretary of Defense, I am here in person to make something crystal clear. America's support for Israel is ironclad. And I extend my deepest condolences to the Israeli people for those killed or wounded in this terrible slaughter by Hamas. I'm also here in solidarity with all the families still living the waking nightmare of not knowing the fate of their loved ones. And we will continue to coordinate closely with Israel to help secure the release of the innocent men, women, and children in the clutches of Hamas, including American citizens. Now, Israel is a small country, a place where everybody knows everybody. And in times of trial, the intimacy of your society deepens the intimacy of your grief. But that's not a weakness. It is a profound strength. And in times of testing, Israelis know what to do. Over this awful week, we've seen Israeli hotels and homes taken those who've had to flee. We've seen long lineups to donate blood. Right now. So just like he's we've seen WhatsApps explode with messages as people race to support neighbors in anguish.
You know, it's ironclad.
Perhaps because I'm a retired general, I was especially moved by the story of a retired general named Noam T-Bone. His son called him on Saturday from his home near Gaza to say that Hamas terrorists had stormed their kibbutz and were closing in. And the retired general jumped into his car in Tel Aviv and raced toward the combat zone. He linked up with other fighters and rescued his son, his daughter-in-law, and his granddaughters. And when the general arrived at their house, one of his granddaughters just said, "Grandpa's here." And these are rays of hope in a terrible week. And in times like these, sometimes the best thing that a friend can do is just to show up and to get to work. Now, this is no time for neutrality or for false equivalence or for excuses for the inexcusable. There is never any justification for terrorism.
I want to show you a video here. This is, of course, coming as Gaza citizens has been told to flee south during these next 24 hours.
Who wants lasting peace
things
and
are getting very hot here.
We've
got this video here from
condemn
News. Trust him
and isolate
exclusively.
Hamas.
Great source. Footage from residents
Hamas
in
does
Gaza
not speak for the
heading
Palestinian
south and
people
from
or their
IDF
legitimate hopes for
northern,
dignity,
Gaza.
security,
Look at this.
and statehood and peace alongside Israel. As a former commander of Central Command, the deliberate cruelty of Hamas
sitting on the cars,
vividly reminds me
with
of
everything
ISIS.
they've got. So these are images coming out. They're fleeing.
Fanatical and hateful.
Going south.
And like ISIS,
Hamas
Hamas has nothing to offer but zealotry, bigotry, and death. The world has just witnessed a great evil. The deadliest attack on civilians in the history of the state of Israel, and the bloodiest day in Jewish history since the end of the Holocaust. So make no mistake, the United States will make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself. Because then there would be a U.S. citizen
sitting next to a U.S.
and
official,
Israel has a right to protect its people.
Oh. I don't know, Jenny.
You know, and there are many phone calls this week. President Biden has told Prime Minister Netanyahu that the United States would also respond swiftly and decisively to such a massive terrorist assault. And the president also underscored that democracies like ours are stronger and more secure when we uphold the laws of war. Terrorists like Hamas deliberately target civilians, but democracies don't. This is a time for resolve and not revenge, for purpose and not panic, and for security and not surrender. At President Biden's direction, we have moved urgently to respond to this crisis and to send a strong message of deterrence. The USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group is now in the region, led by the largest aircraft carrier in the world. We've augmented U.S. fighter aircraft squadrons in the Middle East, and the U.S. Department of Defense stands fully ready to deploy additional assets if necessary. As President Biden has said, for any country, for any group, or anyone thinking about trying to take advantage of this atrocity, to try to wipe anywhere. We will remain in close contact with our valued partners across the region and security assistance from the Department of Defense is already rapidly flowing into Israel. That includes munitions and air defense capabilities and other equipment and resources. It also includes more interceptors for Iron Dome to save Israeli lives. And we will continue to ensure that Israel has what it needs to keep itself secure. Now, Hamas attacked at a time of global challenge. But the United States is the most powerful country in the world. And we remain fully able to project power and uphold our commitments and direct resources to multiple theaters. So we will stand with Israel even as we stand with Ukraine. The United States can walk and chew gum at the same time. And U.S. security assistance to Israel will flow in at the speed of war. And as this harrowing week draws to a close, and as Shabbat draws near, we stand together, and we stand strong. The United States has Israel's back, and that is not negotiable, and it never will be. And after this terrible week, I wish you and all the people of Israel Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
We'll be starting with the questions, starting with Alon Ben David, Channel 13.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Your presence in the Eastern Mediterranean clearly projects power, but should Israel be attacked from the north, from Hezbollah in Lebanon, will you be willing to exercise your force and join the fighting?
I ordered additional assets to the region to bolster deterrence. And again, the message that we would send to any country or group thinking to take advantage of this situation and widen the conflict, don't. I won't speculate on anything that could happen in the future. I will just tell you clearly that the United States will continue to support Israel's right to defend itself.
Please, a question to the Defense Minister. השר גלנט, דיברת בתחילת השבוע על כך שהמטרה של המבצע היא למחוק את חמאס. ואזרחי ישראל שואלים את עצמם מה המשמעות של זה. האם תוכל להסביר לנו מה אתה מקווה להשיג במהלך הצבאי שלך ואיך הוא אמור להסתיים? באיזה מצב חמאס יימצא?
אנחנו נמוטט את שלטון החמאס, אנחנו נחסל את היכולת הצבאית של חמאס, אנחנו נוודא שהאיום הזה לא קיים בגבולות שלנו, זה יהיה ממושך, זה יהיה קטלני, זה יהיה עוצמתי וזה יהיה לתמיד.
Matt Seiler, ABC.
Thank you both for doing this. Secretary Austin, the U.S. administration has told Israel to avoid causing civilian casualties and to uphold what you called just now the laws of war. Given how Hamas fights, deliberately launching operations from dense civilian areas, how could Israel permanently end the terrorist threat posed by Hamas without inevitably risking many civilian lives? And as we watch the civilian death toll in Gaza rise while Israel conducts its counterattacks and perhaps a ground invasion, do you believe the moral culpability for those Palestinian deaths belongs to Israel, Hamas, or both?
I'll leave it to Israel to talk about its potential plans and its approach to conducting operations. Matt, I'll just say again that Israel has a right to defend itself, and we will support Israel's right to defend itself. We will continue to flow in security assistance. And I've worked with Israeli forces over the years, over many years. As you know, I wore a uniform for 41 years. My experience in working with the Israeli forces is they are professional, they're disciplined, and they are focused on the right things. And so I expect that going forward, they will continue to exhibit that same degree of professionalism that we've seen in the past. But you know, Matt, we've seen this before. The international community fought ISIS, who in some cases was embedded deeply in built-up areas. And that international coalition fought valiantly and protected civilians and created corridors for humanitarian movement, even in the midst of a pretty significant fight. So again, this is a professional force. It is well led, and I have every expectation that it will be disciplined.
Thank you. And for Minister Gallant, have you seen evidence that Iran was directly involved in planning or executing the recent attack on your country, or any signs that either Iran or its proxies are seeking to exploit the situation? And if you do come to see signs of an imminent attack on Israel, are you in favor of preemptive strikes?
Iran, Hezbollah, and Hamas is one axis, an axis of evil. Everything is directed generally from Iran. The permission is given by Iran. The money is supplied by Iran. And the ideas are shaped in Iran. Therefore, it doesn't matter if they give or didn't give the permission, but the idea is an Iranian idea. As to the actions, future actions of IDF, I will stay confidential for good reasons.
Thank you.
Suleiman Massaoudeh.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for this. House Foreign Affairs Chair Mike McCall said that we know that Egypt had warned Israel 3 days prior to that event, like something like this could happen. We don't know how we missed it. We don't know how Israel missed it. So can you tell us what really the U.S. knew before this attack?
What I can tell you is that if we had known, or if we know of a pending attack against an ally, we would clearly inform that ally. But what we're focused on now, Suleiman, is we're focused on making sure that Israel has what it needs to defend its sovereign territory and to protect its citizens. And the minister and I spent a good bit of time talking today about what those requirements are and what we need to do to urgently meet those needs.
Mr. Minister, thank you very much. This is the first time that our political echelon is answering journalist questions. We heard the General Staff, Chief of Staff yesterday taking responsibility, and we said we were not vigilant enough to maintain the safety and security of Israeli citizens. I'd like to ask, is there any assuming of responsibility by the political echelon on this matter? We suffered a very fierce attack with very heavy prices. There will be time to debrief this. At this time, myself, the General Staff, the Chief of General Staff, and all of the IDF combatants, the people of the Israeli police, the Mossad, the ISA, all of us are focused based on the instructions I had issued, and we have one exclusive goal: to triumph over and defeat the Hamas. That is the directive of the Israeli government, and that's what's going to happen.
Thanks for doing this. Mr. Secretary, as you just stated, you were involved in the major effort to stop and eradicate ISIS. When you talk to the minister and others, and that experience courses through you, what kind of lessons learned do you feel or might be helpful in this case, especially dealing with that whole urban situation that you just referred to, the evacuation of civilians from Gaza, those kind of challenges? What kind of ideas and thoughts that you have that you can share, please?
Well, thanks, Tom. I would tell you that encountering ISIS, I felt as if we were staring evil in the eye. It was truly evil. And what we've seen from Hamas, it takes that evil to another level. And so that's the first thing that we need to remember and consider. There are a number of things that we talked about today that there are some lessons learned that we'd be more than happy to share with our allies here in terms of operating effectively in dense urban terrain, creating safe humanitarian corridors, making sure that we're thoughtful about how we shape the battle, and making sure that our objectives are well defined, and so we'll continue to share the lessons that we've learned over the years, and of course, as the Israelis prosecute this fight, we will learn lessons from them. And so I think it's this great teamwork that has served us both well over the years, and we'll continue that.
Mr. Minister, there's been some confusion over the 24-hour deadline that Israel announced for civilians in Gaza to move south, to evacuate and move south. There was a 24-hour deadline initially reported, and then there's been reports that Israel has modified that, have left it open. In other words, not sticking to 24 hours of a deadline. Would you please clarify specifically, is there going to be a deadline? What can you tell us about the deadline? And what will Israel do, if anything, to help civilians move? Some of the people have said that's Hamas's problem. It's not our problem.
Well, first of all, I would like to remind all of us what happened less than a week ago. 1,200 Israelis were brutally murdered, raped, burned alive. Kids were tied one to the other and shot at their hand. This is Hamas. This is the ISIS of Gaza. And as the secretary said, they took evil to another level. That's first issue. Second, Israel never and ever will not shoot civilians in purpose. Therefore, we are asking all the civilians in Gaza City to go south of Gaza. And the reason is that because we don't want to harm them. The camouflage of the terrorist is the civil population. Therefore, we need to separate them. So those who want to save their life, please go south. We are going to destroy Hamas infrastructures, Hamas headquarters, Hamas military establishment, and take this phenomena out of Gaza and out of the earth. They cannot live among human, civilized people.
David.
But 24 hours, is that deadline still holding, the 24 hours?
Thank you very much. We're done for today. Thank you.
Well, that concludes that pretty powerful press conference there delivered from the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and also the Secretary of Defense there, Lloyd Austin himself, and a very experienced military man, a four-star general he was. The Israeli Defense Minister saying this is a war on the existence of Israel as homeland to the Jewish people. I'm joined here in the studio by our military analyst, Sean Bell, just to talk through some of the things that we were hearing there. Very strong statement from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin there, Sean. What did you make of actually what he said?
Yeah, there's a lot of strong language. I'm always struck when I listen to Lloyd Austin. There's a very credible man who's been involved in the military.
I think we're gonna not listen. I mean, not that I don't want to listen to those guys. I mean, they know what they're talking about, obviously. But yeah, we're gonna watch Gaza Sky. We're gonna watch Gaza here at routes of. There he is. And yeah, so reality is right now So here's the reality of the situation that we're in right now. Let me give you the rundown here. Of course, you just heard the Prime Minister of Israel talk about, well, they're getting ready. You know, in the next 24 hours, they've given them 24 hours to leave. I showed a video just earlier here on the stream of fleet of flyers, papers being dropped in Gaza, telling the citizens to leave. There's been multiple stories about Hamas not letting their citizens leave. There's also been the counter saying that they have to let them leave. We've seen videos of people from Gaza leaving. So this right here is a picture of those flyers. These are not white phosphor, if you thought that. These are flyers, papers, been dropped over the cities with information telling them to go to the south of Gaza. So we are getting what appears to be very close to the beginning of something big here from Gaza. So we are getting very, very, very close. The terrorist shooting, which occurred at a police station in eastern Jerusalem, has resulted in 2 officers being injured, with one severely, and the elimination of the terrorist. A stabbing in China, a stabbing in France. This jihad thing that has been called today. We are not seeing big events happening. There has been stabbings, and we're not happy to hear that. But you know, it's an incident that the police of the area should have foreseen, but it's something that they, of course, haven't. They're overwhelmed. We're gonna have to give you more on that. Can't tell you more on it because I simply don't know. These are more videos here, so these are the flyers, and this just to give you some more information. Do we may be able to see, you know, as you can see, this is the area in where these are flyers are just flying over the towns right now, and you can kind of see that this could have been somewhere from this point of view right here, but we're probably not going to get to see more of it. At least Israel right now have confirmed that they have told all of the Gaza citizens, and we believe that every single Gaza citizen is aware of the impending danger of the Israeli IDF forces that are now possibly getting very close to starting off their offensive, their ground invasion. Hamas forces, terrorists, have said that they are ready to repel the attacks. However, we are very much in belief that that is not true. We believe that the Israeli forces, with 300,000 potential reservists now in the Gaza area, would be able to take Gaza within very short amount of time, a very short-term event. We also believe that there are things that are occurring along with their, their tanks, their APVs, and the IAF systems, JDAMs. They've softened up the enemy, and the people of Gaza, the people that would be able to put up a resistance, have gone away. So the resistance are probably going to be quite light. We expect that Israel will be able to make quick work of this. France have seen an increase in protests, in particular pro-Palestinian protests. This is a quite famous statue, as you can see up top here, that has now been painted over and vandalized, and there are multiple people standing on it. And you can see the police on the left side here. Now, famously, the parliament in France have actually banned protesting from pro-Palestinian protesting. So yeah, we are very, very much right now seeing the events unfolding. There's also images coming out from Iraq. Thousands of Iraq scatter in Tahrir Square in support of Palestine. This is in Iraq. So it's coming out over. These are coming in for support. The Prime Minister of Israel, you just heard him say, this is Iranian sponsored. So, yeah.
During great times.
So, many videos that I'm retweeting on my channel. Want to go check that out. Russian Telegraph channels quote Wagner PMC mercenaries reportedly say that they have received offers to fight for Palestine in Gaza Strip. For this, they have offered a salary of 650,000 rubles, 6,000 a month, $6,000 a month. That's what the equal is. We have a good job for good money. There's always a demand for us. We received jobs. Liberia, 180,000. Syria, Central Africa, 250,000 now. Situation with Palestine, Israel, there are always offers to fight for Palestine, which they offer 650,000 rubles for. I don't know whether someone agreed or not. One PMC Wagner reportedly said, I think this is possible. Wagner mercenary had no work and no payouts in Russia these days. They're professional fighters and murderers who do not care about anything but the money and good combat. So these are reports coming out from Anton Garashenko. He's also quite a trustable source of mine. I found a video here from the Israeli Defense Forces here. So this is from Israeli Defense Twitter, and this was uploaded today.
Gaza City, a major center, the biggest.
And this is a really, really bad re-upload. Don't know how somebody could mess up re-uploading something that bad. But, let's just find the video on their channel instead. Here we are. Yeah, it's an 8-minute long video here. We're gonna watch through this here.
Shalom everyone, Lieutenant Colonel in the reserves Jonathan here. Our daily update. It is Friday morning, 7:20 a.m. local Israeli time, and I have some updates for you to know regarding the operations and the war against Hamas. The situation during the night has been relatively quiet, relative to the last 6 days. Still rocket fire towards southern Israel. There are still terrorists that are attacking Israeli communities, or at least trying. Most of them have been repelled, killed, or taken into custody. But what I want to share with you first is a humanitarian step that the IDF is taking.
Very laggy video here. I don't know what the fuck's going on. This is me. My stream is just not doing very great right now. What the fuck is even going on? It's these fucking stupid streams. I hate having these two streams up constantly. I've done it before, but one of these videos are apparently taking fucking... One second. We'll try again. Well, here we go.
Minimize civilian casualties as this war unfolds. And I would like to read verbatim, word for word, the message that we sent, obviously in Arabic, to the local population in Gaza City, informing them of the need to evacuate from where they are for their own safety. This is the message. The IDF calls for the evacuation of all civilians from Gaza City. I'll zoom in a second. From Gaza City.
This is bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. It's such... What the fuck is even... As soon as I start reporting on fucking Israel, oh, we can't do that. No. I've never had these problems before. It always went great.